Hey guys, we are live. What is going on out there today? Brent Abel here, webtennis.com. KJ Tennis, thanks for letting me know where you are today. Great state of New Mexico. Trying to schedule this actually in between football games. Might be a little overlap with one of them still going on. But anyway, hope you guys are having a great Sunday wherever you are. And yeah, I'm going to actually today at some point during the live stream, which is not going to be very long, I'm going to give away a couple of sets of string today. This is the stuff I use. This is what I use for the mains. I use a hybrid, so I use this for the mains. It's a 17 gauge poly, and then I use this for, there we go, for the crosses, an 18 gauge synthetic gut. Works for me. I've tinkered around with different string setups over the years, and especially with this oversized racket that I play with, the Weed 125 EX. I've been using it for 6 years, 6+ years. And in the beginning, it just either the tension wasn't right or the string setup wasn't right. And I think we all have to kind of find out our own. I get that question a lot. Well, what string should I use? What tension should I have it at? And to me, it's like I just don't ever have the answer for that, just because everyone's obviously different. The rackets are so different. The string types are different. Everyone's game is different. So my recommendation is always, you kind of got to go with just maybe biting the bullet for a month or so and try different string setups and see what feels the best. Yeah, you might have to spend a little bit on string to do that. If you don't do it yourself, you got someone else doing it for you. Okay, but other than that, it's really tough to say really what's the best. So, guys, what we're going to talk about today are two things that I've always, at least I used to struggle with. I'll call them myths. Maybe they're not really myths, but they're just things that I think the players from time to time have a really tough time figuring out or sort of following instruction for. Number one is the so-called zone that we're supposed to be able to get into. There are apparently methods of getting into the zone, so we play completely instinctively with no thinking, no thoughts. Everything just works perfectly. Yeah, that just never really worked for me. And then this whole thing about you got to be mentally tough. You got to have mental toughness. And so what I want to talk about are those two things. And really how they just never worked for me and what has worked instead. And look, if you're struggling with kind of what's on the message there with, how do you play better in matches than you do in practice? And I know there's a lot of, I used to go through a lot of pain myself with trying to, with knowing that look, I play okay in a practice, whether it's drilling or whether it's playing points or maybe just sets or something like that. But when I get out there for the real deal in the match, man, I just felt tight. I felt anxious, and I never really figured that out for a while. And then once I really sort of got into, well, one of them was actually just seeing how many events I could play, kind of desensitizing myself to those nerves, to that anxiety. That helped a little bit, but in the end, it didn't really turn the corner for me in terms of, being able to feel confident, right? I mean, I put a little short out there on YouTube today, which was, kind of the chicken and the egg thing, where back in the day, I'd ask someone who, a coach, I'd say, well, I'm playing a lot. I'm getting some coaching. I'm doing all the training. I'm doing all the drilling. I'm in great shape. I'm eating right. I'm playing a lot of events. How do I get confident in these matches that are kind of close and someone that I think I should be beating, or that other guys that maybe I'm beating so anyway, I just would ask them and they'd say, well, you got to play a lot of matches and, eventually you'll start to win. And that's when you get confident. And I go, well, God dang it. I mean, how can I win if I'm not confident? I mean, that just never made any sense to me. So, eventually I figured out what that was. And for me, what that was, well, you got to build some confidence first. And that doesn't mean that you're sitting there just perfecting stroke technique. For me, it was more mindset training, right? It was more studying myself in terms more of affirmations. You just kind of retraining my brain into how I wanted to feel out there in the court, rather than thinking I had to go out in the court and figure it out and then I'd get confident. That just never worked for me. So anyway, look, guys, again today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give away a couple of sets of string, a couple of sets. I've actually got 5 sets that I'm going to give away today. And it's this string right here, right? This is what I use in the mains, and this is what I use in the crosses. It's a hybrid. I've got 5 sets, so I've got actually 10 packages of string I want to give away today. And I will do that. I will do that in just a few minutes. Guys, if you haven't done so already, would love to know where you are. I'm here in the desert. I'm here at Rancho Mirage, California desert, and gorgeous day out here, man. I mean, just drop dead. November 5th, gorgeous, beautiful. It's going to touch 80. I mean, touch 90, I think today, high 80s or something like that. So, all right. Well, let's get rolling here, and let's talk about the first thing, which is the zone. And gosh darn it, I mean, I'd heard and I'd read books and all this stuff about you got to get in the zone, which means that then you will play instinctively, right? So all the training that you do and all this stuff will just show up, and you just don't have to do anything other than just kind of this ooey gooey, groovy far out stuff. And I don't want to badmouth, the old days, because those were great old days, right? But in terms of finding the zone, I just never really sort of dropped into it without sort of being proactive about what I was thinking about. And I used to kind of wait around. I'd be playing and just not thinking, and just kind of going along, waiting for myself to relax enough that I would get into the zone. That never happened for me. That just never happened. And the only times I've really gotten in the zone, when I look back at it, is I was pretty darn proactive with my thinking, in terms of, here's how I want to think between points, right? I mean, and basically for me, that was what would get me into feeling confident enough that when I started the point, that I would sort of drop into this real comfort zone of just being able to execute without having to think too much. And I think that's maybe where the misunderstanding of the zone is that you're just not proactive with your thinking. And when you're playing points, maybe not. But for me, it was between points. For me, it was like, and I got this 4 parts between points routine, or between point system, that when I do it, when I'm super disciplined with it, meaning that it's very proactive, here's part 1, here's part 2, here's part 3, part 4. If you haven't picked up, or if you haven't looked at that video that I've got that is free, it's over at webtennis.com. Don't go over there right now, but when we're done, go on over to webtennis.com. It's a free video. I describe the 4 parts, in the detail about what I do that's really, really helped me a lot. So, but if I do that, then I seem to set myself up in the points to play really well. And so I used to think, though, that with the zone, that there was no thinking ever, right? That I just had to be instinctive. So those 25 seconds between points for me, God dang it, the voices were popping off, going off all over different areas of just being distracted and not really controlling my thinking. So I don't know, maybe for you that's not a problem. But for me, I found that if I wasn't proactive between points, I never really gave myself a chance to be able to get into that elusive zone. And I'm not sure that in the points that we really get completely instinctive. I mean, for me, I'm thinking, what is it that this player over there doesn't want me to give them? Right? I mean, I just can't be completely inside my head and go, oh, well, right now, a topper forehand up the line feels really great. It just feels instinctive. Where maybe that's not where I want to be playing the shot, based on what that opponent doesn't want me to give them. Maybe that's their strength. Maybe me feeling instinctive, hey, I'm just going to take this thing and go up the line. It's just feeding into their strength. It's feeding into what they want from me. So for me, I just think that the zone is a lot more proactive. and if you've been ever thinking that, the zone is someplace where you just kind of get laid back and don't think, and all this good stuff happens. For me, it never ever happened that way. So look, if you're struggling with that, if you're not controlling your thoughts out there, not only between points, and on side changes, but I would tell you also that part of what we do between points is we really start to go to school on that opponent in terms of what they don't want us to give them, what it is they don't want us to discover about their game. Maybe it's just one shot. Maybe, let's take, for example, their backhand. Maybe their backhand's just weaker than that forehand. I don't know. Could be the opposite, right? It could be that it could be the forehand's weaker. Doesn't matter. But maybe it's just one shot over there that they don't want us to play to. All right. Well, then the zone for me is going to be, as the point develops, that's all I'm going to give that guy until he proves otherwise, that's not a weakness. Maybe it's a two-shot pattern. Maybe the guy doesn't like to move forward. I'll play a drop shot and then move back. I don't know, but I've got to get out of my head in terms of not thinking that, well, I just got to find the zone. That's going to be the answer to winning the match. No, I got to figure out what that guy doesn't want. And once I figure that out, then I can drop into this comfort area in terms of knowing that's what I'm going to be doing. That's my focus. So for me, the zone is not all ooey gooey and just fun and just, no big deal. We don't think, when we just play instinctively. It just never ever worked for me. So look, guys, I'll tell you what, I'm going to give away, and then I'm about to talk about this whole thing about mental toughness. If you want to use what I'm doing, or at least if you want to try what I put in my string bed, it's a hybrid where I'm using this in the crosses and I'm using this in the mains. And for me, I'm using a big, fat, oversized racket. It's a 125 EX weed, and I string both of those up at 65 pounds, right? And people just go, you got to be crazy, 65 pounds, and then your arm must be killing you. And I go, well, first of all, it's a huge string bed, right? So 125 square inches. So it kind of loosens up pretty quickly. I mean, I would say within the first 30 minutes of a fresh string job at 65, it's no longer at 65. I mean, maybe it would be if the gauge was lower, but I've got the crosses at a 17 gauge, and I got the mains at a 17, and I got the crosses at an 18. I think it loosens up pretty quickly. Anyway, I've got 5 sets of this that I want to give away, and the way to do that, and if you're interested, if you want to try this, cool. The way to do it is do me a favor first. In exchange for me giving this away, I'm going to ship it to you at no cost. I want you to, number one, share the video. Whether you're on Facebook or YouTube right now, just go ahead and click that share button. And then the second thing that I want you to do is, into the comments area, just type in mindset training. Really, just those 2 words, mindset training. And then just let me know that you're done with that. And then when you're done, just go ahead and just shoot me an email, brent@webtennis.com. And just let me know. Just let me know what your handle is, either on Facebook or YouTube, and that you actually shared it and that you typed in mindset training in the comments area. And that'll be cool. And I'm going to go ahead and send it to you at no cost. I've got 5 sets. So the first 5 that do that, you're in. All right, cool. Okay. Let's see. Oral temps, if manufacturer recommends top of 57, doesn't harm to string 65. Might. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, with weed, with that big racket, is they don't like you to string a certain way too. Is they want the last 3 or 4 cross strings taken down about 5 or 10 pounds. I think that's just more of a manufacturer's kind of cover your butt warranty. I don't do that. I've never broken a racket. So yeah, I suppose in the end you should go with the manufacturer's suggested warranty. I'm just telling you what I do, and it just works for me. So look, guys, when you do this, and Orotemps and KJ, good going, just shoot me an email. Brent at webtennis.com. And what I obviously need is your shipping address, and I'll get this out to you in the next day or so. I'll do it this afternoon or tomorrow. Anyway, for sure. All right, guys, let's talk about the other, what I think is a myth, which is you got to be mentally tough. So for me, the way I thought about mental toughness, because I used to be kind of a baby brat out in the court. I mean, it wasn't unusual for me to chuck a racket or get pissed off and scream and yell and just kind of look like an idiot out there. And, I knew eventually once I started seeing other players do the same thing, I'm going, my God, do I look like that? I hope not, because if nothing else, I got to get this mental part of the game figured out, because I don't want to look like that idiot over there on court 7 who's, screaming and yelling, chucking a racket. And if I look like that, I don't want that. So I guess for me, once I started kind of researching, the mental skills required for tennis or just athletes in general, or I'd ask guys, and they said, well, you just got to be mentally tough. Mentally tough. Remember Tom Stowe? I mean, love the guy, and any credit. I mean, all the credit that I've ever. I mean, he's going to get all the credit for anything I've ever done in the game, not only as a player but also as a coach. But the one thing that he made me kind of research was, I said, "Well, Coach, Tom, what do I do here? I just what is this mental thing?" He just said, "You know what, Brent, just take it like a man." God dang, take it like a man. What does that mean? So not only did I not understand mental toughness, what that meant, but I didn't understand, well, take it like a man. So my thought was, well, okay, you've got to be Mr. Stoic, right? You can't show any emotion. You can't feel anything, right? Anything that happens, you have to just emotionally be this complete and utter nothing. And all that did for me was just really ratchet up the nerves, ratchet up the frustration, and just kind of white knuckle my way through matches. And it just kind of made it worse. And so I would say mental toughness, that term, well, for me, it never made any sense. And I don't think it makes a lot of sense for a lot of other players as well. And so what I've discovered, and I keep harping on the four parts between point system that I use. I started researching it. What I found was Jim Lohr way back in the day. And the thing that he recommended was this 4 parts between points routine. I've kind of hybridized mine from what he had back in the day. But the whole thing, especially with the first part, is to control your emotions. Like, for example, I'd go out and if I hit the greatest shot of all time, I'd just go, yeah, baby, come on, let everyone know about it. My emotions would go off the chart up high. And then if I just missed the easy ball, the easiest sitter, just chunked a, wide open, lower 40 acre, the court's wide open, the guy's falling down over there, missed it. I just go, you got to be kidding me. And I go crazy with that too. And so the emotions were either here or down here. And we all know that the game is really won on the average, right? It's won on managing the mediocre. We don't always hit great shots. We don't always miss easy ones. So we're sort of in here all the time. And yet we don't find a way to kind of manage that. And so for me, it was like, well, what do I want to do at the end of a point? Or what should I do at the end of a point, other than just not trying to be mentally tough, or other than just being Mr. Stoic and just feeling nothing? So for me, it was really, what am I going to proactively say to myself? Is it a word? Is it a phrase? Is it what I do now is I kind of hum a little, the hook to a song? And that's the thing that controls my emotions, that helps me be, if you want to call it mentally tough, okay. But that's where I go. And for me, it's the only thing that's actually worked. And then I do that for 3, 4, 5 seconds. And then I'm ready to go on to parts 2, part 3, and part 4 of my 4 parts between points routine or system. And again, if you haven't picked that up, it's free. I've got a video that will detail for you what those 4, dang it, I can't talk today, what those 4 parts are. It's over at webtennis.com. It's free. All you got to do is drop in an email address, first name, and you will get it. So I hope that helps today. Look, guys, if you, I've still got, I think, 1 set left here, couple sets maybe. But if you want the string setup that I use, I'm giving away 5 sets today. And they're, it's a hybrid, right? So in the mains, I'm putting in a 17 gauge poly, and in the crosses, I'm putting in an 18 gauge synthetic gut, and it works for me, right? It just works for me. And again, I'm using an oversized racket, so I string it pretty tight, 65 pounds. A lot of guys in my age group go, "You're crazy." I mean, there are guys who are putting in the same, maybe not the same string setup, but they're putting in string and they're only, I mean, like 35 to 40 pounds. And for me, with the same racket, and I'm going, dang, man, I'd be, a launching pad if I did that. So if you want me to ship this to you, I'm going to give it to you for free. I'm going to ship it to you for free. But in exchange for that, I'm asking you to do one thing. Number one, if you're a YouTube, just click the share button there. Or if you're Facebook and there's a share button, do that. And then just type into the comments mindset training, just those two words. And I'm more than happy to give that to you. And once you do that, go ahead and shoot me an email, brent@webtennis.com. And just let me know that you did that, that you shared it and that you put mindset training in the comments area. And obviously, I need your shipping address to be able to send this to you. But I'd love to do that, and I appreciate you doing that. And yeah, I would love to get some feedback from you once you try the string, and let me know if it works for you. So, guys, look. Any questions today? Anything that this brought up for you in terms of what I think are a couple of myths or a couple of things that just never really worked for me, but were definitely some pain points for me in terms of not being able to figure it out, right? I mean, pain points meaning I'm struggling with a mental game of tennis way back in the day and kind of going crazy, kind of losing my mind, kind of losing my temper from time to time. And I'm told that we got to get in the zone. All right, the zone. Could never figure that out, right? Still, that really frustrated me. Or, you know what? You got to be mentally tough. What is mental toughness? Well, like Mr. Stowe said, as I said earlier, you got to take it like a man. If you start losing or you're missing these, just take it like a man. That didn't work for me. That pain still was there for me, and it actually got a little worse. I just got tighter. I felt more anxiety, and just and kind of white knuckled my way through matches, and that really wasn't the answer until I really kind of got started with some mindset training. And the first part of the mindset training that really helped me, not really where I had the success that I did this year in 2023, but really sort of got me playing at a higher skill level, was what I was doing, controlling those 25 seconds between points and those 90 seconds on side changes, being very proactive with my thinking. And once I started doing that, then all the other training I was doing, maybe the lessons of the coaching I was taking, maybe all the fitness stuff I was doing, all of that stuff really, really, really started to pay off. And so I highly encourage you, if you've not seen that video on my 4 parts between points routine or system, just go on over to webtennis.com and you'll get free access to that video. Just got to drop in a first name and an email address so I can get it over to you, and you'll get access to it. So, yeah, the BPR works. Thank you. Except in the serves, especially the serve, some bad thoughts intrude. Yeah. Well, look. I mean, what's our first response usually after we miss a first serve? I mean, it's usually negative. It's like, uh-oh, hope I don't double fault. Or uh-oh, hope I don't throw in just a fat sitter to allow that returner in singles or doubles, to take charge of the point. So for me, I used to think that, and sometimes, whatever that thought was would become reality. I just kind of forced my brain into that reality, like going, oh, come on, man, not here. Come on, let's not throw in a double fault here. And sure enough, it would happen. So what I do now when I miss the first serve, and it's because I have worked so much on developing a high bouncing second serve, that if it doesn't go to the target, if it ends up in the box and kind of, sits up, it's up high enough to where, and I'm not going to call it a kicker. I mean, I'm not going to hype it that way, but I'm going to tell you that I've worked enough on really developing a high trajectory, high bouncer that even if the guy wants to come in and try to take it on the rise, not that easy. It's not, it's so they're going to have to stay back there on the baseline or maybe a little bit behind the baseline to be able to return it. And from there, I just don't worry about them being able to take charge. And very often what happens is, if it's especially the ad court as a right-handed player, if I bounce it out wide to that ad side, move them, into their alley over there, if not further outside that double sideline, you know what? I feel like it's an offensive serve in terms of whatever they play back now is a real opportunity. So here's what I would tell you. I would tell you, number one, to control your thinking after you miss that first serve, which is if your thoughts right now are, don't want to hit a second serve. I hope I don't, make it a sitter, is to start coming up with a different line or a different word or phrase that you say to yourself, which could be, okay, that's cool. We're now going with whatever it is. And for me, it's just the high bouncer, right? One of the cues that I got to make sure on the second serve, a swing tech cue that I've got to have after missing that first serve is a really loose grip. Because if I start going, hope I don't double fault, I don't want to put a sitter in out there, is we tend to get a little tense, right? We're bringing that emotional tension and anxiety into our brain. And lots of times that kind of works its way into our hands where we're just getting too strong in the grip. And once you get too tight or too strong in the grip, man, that swing speed really slows down. I can't measure it. Well, I probably could measure it, but I'll bet you that I swing faster on a second serve than I do on a first serve. Why? Because I want to get a higher quality spin that's got a nice high trajectory that solves both those problems we've got with the second serve, which is number one, right? We want to keep the ball, from going to the net. So we need the trajectory to be up there, but to get that higher trajectory and for it not to go deep, we got to get a much higher quality spin to help bring it back down inside that service line. So three things. Number one is change what you say to yourself when you miss the first serve. Get into something positive. I mean, it could be something as simple as, God, I love my second serve. Here we go. And the second thing would be a cue. For me, the cue is always make sure that the hand is nice and relaxed. And the third thing is, gosh darn it, a couple times a week, maybe every other day, go out and hit 25, 30 big high trajectory, big heavy top spin serves. I wouldn't say any more than that. You don't want to be, overtaxing your shoulder on it, but you got to do it. And I wouldn't worry about setting up targets out there. All I'd be thinking about is I want to just get the feeling of what it's like to really hit a high quality top spin second serve. And just think of the trajectory as the bounce part, right? That's what's creating the bounce that's going to really create, at worst case, not giving that returner over there any kind of an advantage. And look, for the second serve in doubles, man, I'll do this all day long. What is it? And I'm a serve and volley guy, of course, just like you are in doubles. What am I? I mean, I feel like it's giving me an extra, step, half step or so to be able to get in. And if that ball gets up because they're trying to take it earlier, all the better. So, guys, again, if you want, and I'm giving this away for free today, just a way of saying thanks for showing up. Look, I've got what I put in my racket, which is I've got an oversized racket. I'll be the first one to admit it, right? I play with a 125 EX, and I've got a hybrid string setup, and that is I put in this stuff. It's a poly. I put this in as my mains string at 65 pounds, and I put this in. It's a 65. I'm sorry, string at 65. It's an 18 gauge synthetic gut for the crosses, and I string them both at 65. Look, if you want me to send, I'm giving away 5 sets today. just go ahead and hit the share button, and then type into the comments area mindset training. And once you've done that, go ahead and just shoot me the email, or shoot me an email, brent@webtennis.com. Let me know that you've done that. I've got to have your shipping address, and I'll get it out to you this afternoon or tomorrow. And again, no cost. And I'm just saying thanks for hanging out with me today, and hope whatever we worked on today has helped you. So guys, that is it for me. Brent@webtennis.com. Any other questions, let me know down below in the comments area. And as always, we have to get out there today. We got to help someone else have a great day. Guys, see you again next time.